Hello everyone, this is going to be a quick guide to surviving the 4 garden boss fights in garden that are not Anthlon. This guide is not going to be a full guide by garden, it's just going to be how to survive the boss fights. Basically, if you join a raid and kill these 4 bosses, it should give you level 5 in garden if you use a fairy protection. So a few things before we get started. What you're going to need. Fairy protection, obviously. You're going to want to make sure you buff. And then you're also going to want to use a class with a decent amount of survivability and mobility, so something preferably with Oromancy and or defense. Alright, so let's get to it. Alright, so for this guide, we're going to be going in order from the most difficult bosses to the easiest. And usually when you join a raid, they don't really go in any particular order, just kind of whatever they feel like. But first we're going to start with Cassavir. This is, I think, the most difficult one. So a few things. First of all, you want to, whenever you get to a boss, you want to right click on their health bar and then select track target. And what that's going to do is, as you can see on the left side of my screen, it's going to make a little window where you can see kind of like a mini health bar. The point of that is you just want to have that in an easy spot where you can see basically the abilities that they cast. So with Cassavir, actually, well, first of all, with any garden boss, there's going to be a one person tanking. Generally, you want to stay on the opposite side of the boss from whoever's tanking. In the case of Cassavir, as you can see, he really moves around a lot, so you pretty much have to either stay close to him to do damage, or if you want to stay alive, just, I guess, don't stand next to him. You can stand next to healers, I guess. So let's go over his skills. Alright, so his first skill is going to be Flame Explosion. Basically, he's going to make this cone in front of him. Just don't stand in front of him because he's going to cast it in front of him, so whenever he casts Flame Explosion, just make sure you stand behind him, basically. Alright, so another thing that he does is right here. This is Meteor Explosion. Basically, he just calls down these meteors around him. When he does this, you can, as you can see, there's a pattern that the meteors drop in, but if you accidentally get hit by one, you're probably gonna die. So the way that you can avoid getting hit by a meteor is just glide like this. Just hit your glide key and stay in the air, and don't come down until all the meteors are done showering. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once he dies, you want to be careful because sometimes he will do a meteor explosion like right before he dies. So just make sure you get out of the way. Alright, so next is Ramses, the snake. Same deal here, there's going to be a tank that's holding aggro, and for the most part, you want to pretty much stay behind him. So as for his skills, alright, so this skill is Frost Beam. Basically, he makes these lasers in front of him. Well, mostly in front of him, sometimes around the sides, but when he does Frost Beam, just don't stay in front of him. The next skill is Shoot Poison. Basically, he shoots poison in front of him. This one is pretty much only in front of him, so as long as you're behind him, you get hit. And if you do get hit, the poison does do damage over time, so make sure you survive through that, use potions or whatever. This next skill that he's going to use is called Frost Explosion. This is one that you really want to watch out for. Basically, with Frost Explosion, it's kind of hard to see, but he makes ice around him, which sounds kind of dumb because it's kind of in snow, but as you can see, when he makes ice, it's a brighter white, When he does that, you want to make sure you're not standing on the ice, which is brighter than snow. So just look for the really bright white areas and don't stand there. So a really easy way to do it is whenever you see him cast Frost Explosion, just literally just like back up. And also, just a side note, when he dies, sometimes he does do a Frost Explosion as he dies. So if you see the ice, make sure you get away from that before you go and loot him. Alright, so next is Pyrexius, the centaur. So with this one, you actually do not want to stand in front of him or directly behind him because he kicks back. So you want to pretty much stay at his side. Sometimes he does an ice shard ability where he kind of shoots these ice shards in a radius around him. There's not really a way to avoid that because it kind of hits everything. But for this guy, pretty much you'll be fine as long as you're not standing directly behind him. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Alright, so the last boss is the monkey, Angorak. This one is one that you pretty much want to stay behind at all times. He has 3 main skills, basically. Alright, so this skill is Wild Roar. Basically, he pounds the ground and he will push back pretty much everyone really close to him. The pound is pretty much an AoE ability, so if you're close to him, you will get hit and push back. But you want to make sure you're not standing directly in front of him because that's where he does the most damage. So right here he's going to do Sunder Earth, which basically works the same way as Ballad Ray Sunder Earth. He's going to do basically a line attack in front of him. Same concept, just don't stand in front of him. And the third skill is Rapid Attack. Basically he attacks in one direction really rapidly. This one is not AoE, it's pretty much just in front of him, so for that one, just don't stay in front of him. And then other than that, you'll also see that he jumps around. Just as long as you're not directly in front of him, when he lands, you'll be safe. So just stay behind him, and eventually he will die. Alright, so that's all for the Garden Boss guide. If you see a Garden Boss raid, try and do it so you can gear up. Alright, peace out.